cosmic mystics, stargazers, lovers of the mystery of life. Here we have part 3 of Pluto in Capricorn. Pluto recently went into Capricorn in 2024, then dipped out and is now firmly in Capricorn at about 1 degree. So this is a very relevant transition, a very relevant change, and nobody alive has experienced Pluto traveling through the constellation of Capricorn and the unique effects and ripples that that has for each of us in our personal lives and also collectively. Because in evolutionary astrology, developed by Jeffrey Wolf Green, Pluto represents not only our individual evolution, but also the collective evolution of the planet. And so it's a very powerful influence and a very important influence in our skies. And this part 3 is going to go into how those influences of Pluto will affect us individually depending on which house or houses Capricorn occupies in your chart. So the easiest way to find that out is to go to the chart calculator on my website, cosmicmystics.club, and put in your birth information, your date, time, and place of birth. And the chart will come up right there on the website. And you can take a look and see which house or houses Capricorn occupies, specifically at the moment, the beginning of Capricorn. So because of the way the ascendant affects the placement of the houses, Capricorn may occupy 2 houses, or it may just be 1. But we're just going to look for the beginning of Capricorn, and if you already have your chart, you can take a look and see which house it occupies. You're also going to look at the opposite house, which would be the house that Cancer occupies. So those 2 houses, that polarity, the Capricorn-Cancer polarity, are what Pluto is going to be working with in terms of your individual transformation and evolution through this 17-year cycle he'll be making through the constellation of Capricorn. So one of the things I wanted to just share is that another reason why Pluto is very important is because it rules some of the major taboos, you could say, in society. It rules sex, death, and resurrection, or rebirth, and the transformational process that occurs where birth being the beginning of the cycle of life and death being the end of that particular cycle for the body, and also the birth and death experiences that we're having continuously in our life, because change is the constant and change is the end of something and the beginning of something new. So this is a big theme for us as human beings here on this planet, and death is a very taboo subject that most people don't speak about. But in my experience of having near-death experiences, death is only relevant to the body. It's not relevant to your essence or your soul. And so we are eternal beings. We do come back, and we are continuously going through this process of birth and death. Now, I can't prove this. This is just my own experience. I've had many past life memories, and I'm not going to attempt to prove it. Each person, each individual has their own unique interpretation, and I guess what I would say is that, in listening to this, put aside all the ideas from the past, everything that you've been told by others, and just rely on your own intuition, your own soul's inner knowing. When it comes to astrology, that's the most relevant response to me. It's not about the mind. It's not about what society thinks or believes or what the religions think or believe. It's your own individual relationship with the universe, with the cosmos, and we all have that. This series will be using True Sidereal Astrology, which is using the actual sizes of the constellations and includes the 13th sign of Fucus at the galactic center. In case you weren't aware, tropical and Vedic astrology are not accurate to the natural visible sky and have not been for thousands of years. They are both man-made systems that are completely distorted and disconnected from nature. So that's why many astrologers now are shifting over to True Sidereal Astrology, using the actual sky, the way our ancient ancestors always practiced astrology. So thanks for joining me, and I'm going to start with, if you have Pluto transiting, Pluto in your natal chart in the first house. So your first house is Capricorn. And like I said before, the houses can bleed over. So if Capricorn occupies, the beginning of Capricorn is on the cusp or occupies more than one house, you can listen to both. But most likely the beginning will be in a specific house, and you want to start there. So if Pluto occupies your first house, then most likely Pluto is on your ascending sign, your rising sign. And the first house is ruled by Mars. So this is a very active, dynamic placement to have Pluto in. And with Capricorn in your first house, that means that for you, your self-identity, how you identify yourself, may be based in traditional systems. You may have a more traditional self-identification that could be based on, programming or conditioning from the family and from society quite strongly. So with Pluto transiting this area, you might find yourself questioning some of these beliefs and programs in the mind, and seeing yourself from a more intuitive perspective. Capricorn is a very rational sign. It also has an intuitive aspect to it, but it's very much about the world it rules, corporations, governments, organizations. And so it's very much about our role in the world, in society, you could say. Not necessarily our role, but how we relate to that. So with Pluto in Capricorn in your first house, there's going to be a lot of revelation and transformation in how you relate to yourself, your own individuality, and how you present that in the world in terms of your appearance, the clothes you choose, the way you present yourself. You may find that you're making changes, or changes are happening in that area, and you're starting to become more aware that maybe some of the ways in which you have identified are not actually true for you at this point. And Pluto's going to help you transform that so that you're more aligned with who you really are, instead of maybe presenting a persona that's based on who you've been told you are or who you've been told not to be. So it's a very powerful place to have Pluto at the first house. And since this is a 17-year transit, it'll be slow and gradual transformation that you're going to see. So if Capricorn occupies your second house, you're going to see transformation in the way that you relate to your survival, your resources, and also you'll be looking at the beliefs and ideologies that create the value, the unique value system that you have. The second house is very much about our concern for survival. Survival is a priority in the second house. It's part of the growth process through the cycle of the zodiac, where we begin with the first house, getting to know who we are, having an identity, and presenting ourselves. And then in the second house, we're starting to look at how we're going to survive in this world and what we really value the most in life. And it also has a lot to do with our relationships as well, this survival. So there could be relationships in your life that are very much connected with your survival, very much connected with practicality. And those could also start undergoing transformation, where your values start to shift, and maybe you're starting to look beyond survival into actually living and enjoying life, not just surviving. But your values may expand, they may transform and start to include beyond survival. And looking at the dynamics that you have set up with other people that are based around survival and money and, just how you take care of your daily life. So this is a very practical placement for Pluto, and also quite harmonious because Capricorn is an earth sign and Taurus is an earth sign ruled by Venus. So they're harmonious with each other. And you might find that it's easier during this transit to start bringing in more of your own individual values instead of values you may have had that are just based on pure survival instinct. You may start to find that you can rise beyond that and start to look at that your values are determined by you. They're not determined by society. They're not determined by your family. They're determined by you. And the ones that are based on other people's opinions and ideas may start shifting in a new direction, and you may find more contact with your unique value system that comes from your heart and from your essence and from your soul. So if Capricorn is your third house, then this transformation is going to start with your communication, how you communicate with yourself internally, how you communicate with others, with family members, with the world in general, and also how you relate to the marketplace, to business. The third house also has a lot to do with short distance travel and your local environment. So you might find shifts and changes happening in those areas of your life, and having deeper insight into your own unique style of communication, whether it be verbal or nonverbal, and maybe making some shifts in a direction where your communication can have more depth and more authenticity, if that's something that's been an issue. Capricorn will give you a very grounded experience of your communication style. And communication is very important. It's a foundation of society. You know, if we don't communicate with each other, a lot of chaos can erupt in our lives if we're not communicating with people. And finding ways to communicate that are the most authentic for you, and finding ways to be in the marketplace that are the most authentic for you, is what Pluto is going to bring more of into your experience. And you may find also that it reaches into the ideas and beliefs that you carry, and expanding beyond that, searching for truth in your own internal experience, and searching for a way to have a more harmonious inner dialogue with yourself. So it's a very powerful place, and you will probably see communication dynamics shifting slowly and gradually as you get deeper insights into maybe patterns in communication that were learned or passed on from tradition, Capricorn, or taught to you in schools or institutions. This can also be a great time to start producing your own communication, since the third house has a lot to do with publishing and writing and media. You may find you have something new to express, something new to share, and that would be a great way of working with this transformational process. So if Capricorn is in your fourth house and Pluto is occupying your fourth house, then you're working directly with the polarity point of Pluto, which is Cancer, which rules the fourth house. So there's going to be quite a bit of dynamic energy in your fourth house of home, family. Can also have a lot to do with past lives as well. So you may see transformation and change and deeper insight occurring with your family, your immediate family, your extended family, the place you grew up in, the house you live in, whatever you consider your home to be. And that will also relate to your experience of your internal home in the universe, your place in the universe, being the expanded version of your home, and also your home within yourself, who you are, and feeling more at home with who you are, and maybe looking at things that you have taken on, belief systems and traditions through the family that have defined who you are in a way that no longer serves you. And this can be a very powerful with working with this polarity point of Pluto, Cancer. Can also have a lot to do with your relationship with women, with your mother, and with the feminine archetype in general. It can also have a lot to do with how you nurture and love yourself, and how you trust your intuition and your instincts. Cancer, the fourth house, has a lot to do with just our direct connection with our intuition. And you may find that increasing and strengthening and transforming in a way that's new. Pluto in the fourth house can also help you to create a new foundation, literally. It could be a literal foundation if you're building or thinking of building your own house. And it could also just be more of an inner foundation. Maybe challenges that you've had with family in the past or family dynamics that have left their mark on you during this transformational process could be released, and you may feel lighter and unburdened and more connected with your own true foundation of who you are, instead of who you've been told you are or who other people think you are in the family dynamic, or anything to do with programming from childhood or experiences from childhood. You could find liberation, rebirth from these during this Pluto transit, where you're able to honor your own unique individuality and be connected with family and with home and with your past without having to sacrifice your authenticity. So this is a very powerful place, probably one of the most, I would say, having Pluto in your 10th house, which is ruled by Capricorn, and having Pluto in your 4th house, which is ruled by Cancer. Either of those places is going to be a very strong mirror. And there are other dynamics and squares and trines and things going on here between Pluto and different signs. But just to keep it simple, if you have Capricorn in your 4th house, this could be a great time to really create a new foundation for yourself that feels really aligned with your heart and your soul and who you are. If you have Capricorn in your 5th house, this transformational process of Pluto, this deepening, this deeper look into your 5th house will include all your creative inspiration, your creative projects, how you use your creativity, how creative you are. And if there's issues where you feel you have creative blocks, this is a great time to allow the influences and the benefits of Pluto to transform your creative energy and to maybe assist you in connecting deeper with the flow of your energy, which creative energy, really the 5th house also has to do with your children. And so we're looking at, you know, the flow of creative energy from birth to creation in its essential nature. And if there's a block in that flow, Pluto's going to help you see deeply into it. And a lot of what Pluto helps us to see are beliefs and psychological ideologies that really are not real in a certain way, but we believe them, so then they become real for us. And when it has to do with your romantic life or your sexual energy or creative energy, what we believe has a very powerful effect on us, and especially to do with your life force itself, which to me is what creativity is. It's the flow of the universe through you, and the creative process is very much about allowing that to come through you rather than using the mind. So if Pluto is transiting your 5th house, you'll probably also notice with your relationship to romance and romantic partners, and also your heart, you know, it's ruled by the sun, the 5th house. So all of these themes are going to come up for transformation, and you'll have the opportunity to recognize what's not in alignment with your heart and make changes and allow changes to happen. Allow life to come in and guide you and move you in ways that bring you into a deeper alignment with your heart, with your children, with your creative energy. And for this really a lot of feeling is involved. If you're willing to feel where those blocks are, if they're there, if you're willing to be honest with yourself about what's not working for you romantically, or if you're having challenges relating to your children, or if they're having challenges relating to you, to really step back and put aside any belief systems you might have connected to that, and just look at things as they are and just see the reality of things as they are. This is also something that Pluto gives us. Because he rules Scorpio, he has incredible depth of insight that we get the benefit of. So if Capricorn is your 5th house, you'll be building a new foundation in terms of your heart, in terms of your creativity and your relationship with children, and also with your own inner child, if you don't have children. Creating a new foundation that's based on your current individual sense of who you are and what you need, and starting from here to create something that will be long-lasting and bring more stability into your life. So if Pluto is in your 6th house, if Capricorn is occupying your 6th house, then this has a lot to do with your healing journey and also your body and how you relate to practical life. Your daily routines may change. You may notice that certain things are not working for you and you want to shake it up a bit and bring some transformation into that experience. Maybe you're not who you were when these routines began anymore, and so they're not really serving you. They've just become automatic. So Pluto's going to give you the opportunity to be more aware, to be more deeply connected with your current rhythms, your current ways of taking care of your body, taking care of your health, and come in with new, innovative ways of doing these things, because Mercury rules the 6th house. So Mercury has the capacity, when combined with Pluto, to have very deep insights into things, and then to be able to actually implement them into our physical, practical, earthly experience. And in terms of healing, I would say that listening to your body, if Capricorn is in the 6th house, you're going to be creating a new foundation of health for yourself. So listening to your body and really honoring your bodily experience could be very beneficial during this transit right now, as Pluto is right there in Capricorn. Also putting together the psychosomatic connection between the mind and the body, and how much the mind affects the body, and being able to see these deep psychological patterns and beliefs in the mind that are having a negative influence on the body, and to be able to turn that around and start relating to your body from a more positive mental state, and also just from a more loving, compassionate place in yourself, and to not allow the mind to overpower the body, because when the mind is really active, and the 6th house being ruled by Mercury, there can be a lot of activity in the mind related to health and well-being, and that's fine, but not if it's actually causing stress to the body and being counterproductive to the healing process. Sometimes it's good to just let go of all the thoughts, all the ideas, all the do's and don'ts, all the rules associated with health, and just relax into your body and listen to it. This can be one of the most powerful ways to shift our health and well-being in a more positive direction. So these are some of the gifts that Pluto will be bringing, some of the opportunities if you have Capricorn as your 6th house. And it is in a harmonious flow, being another earth sign. So you might find the transformation is slow and gradual, but consistent, and that the new foundation that you're creating in your health is happening one step at a time as you start to become more aware of your current needs, not based on the past, but based on who you are now. And also, if you work in the healing arts, you may also find that your work starts to deepen, and you may have deeper insights into the healing process if you work as a healer in some capacity or other. You may implement a new foundation in your work also, bringing in new information, new ways of working with healing and with health that help other people and that are of service to other people, that are very transformational. So it's good when you have Capricorn in the 6th house, just to listen more to your body and listen more to your soul, to your true nature, because you never know what kind of brilliant insights you may have. If Capricorn is in your 7th house is the house of relationships. It's ruled by Venus. And Pluto in the 7th house is going to bring your attention and your awareness to your relationships, and also to your relationship with yourself and your ability or need to be alone at times, to step out of relationship, to have moments of aloneness for yourself, to find that balance. The 7th house is about balance, finding balance in our relationships where we have enough time for ourselves to regain our own balance and our own harmony with ourselves before coming back to the relationship. And then that facilitates a more harmonious and balanced relationship, because we're taking care of our own needs, and only we know what we need. No one else can tell you that, even if they think they know what you need. That's not necessarily the truth. And listening to your own needs is a priority. With Pluto there, it's going to give you the power and the self-authority to determine what your own needs are. And when you have energy to be in relationship, and when you need to be alone, to take care of yourself, to bring yourself back into balance, to reclaim harmony. Because having Pluto in the 7th house could also bring up issues in relationship that you may have been avoiding. It may bring up issues for you, it may bring up issues for others that you have to deal with. But ultimately it's serving a new foundation of a deeper balance and a deeper harmony in your relationships and in your relationship with yourself and the universe. Because these are all important ways that we relate to life. And when you can be really connected with your own needs and be self-aware, and you're not looking to other people to fulfill them or to know what they are mysteriously, then you can communicate from a place of knowing yourself. And the other can also communicate from a place of knowing themselves. And that's how we can restore balance and restore harmony in our relationships. This can also relate to business partnerships as well. And, anything where the other is involved, any kind of relationship at all. So you'll see the transformation coming in slowly, and you'll have the opportunity to be authentic and at the same time be creating a new foundation of being more resilient within yourself and more self-aware. If Pluto and Capricorn are occupying your 8th house, this is quite a transformational place for you. This next 17 years are going to be very transformational in many different ways. Pluto rules the 8th house, it rules Scorpio. So if you have Capricorn in the 8th house, then Pluto will be transiting this house for quite a long time and bringing a very deep transformation to your experience of your feelings, your emotions, your connection with death, sex, and transformation. These three things may become very much in focus for you during this transit. The 8th house also rules inheritances and money coming to you from outside yourself, from various different sources in the world. And with Capricorn being in that house, there could be opportunities also to rebuild your finances and to create more financial stability in your life that may come to you through the various aspects that Pluto rules. You might also find that you're going through a transformation in terms of how you relate to sex in general. You may find that what has worked for you in the past is undergoing a transformation, and that there's more depth coming in to sex, more depth coming into your physical experience of yourself in the body, in relating to others in a sexual way. So this can also affect your connection with your own energetic system, and any blocks or any inhibition that you may have been dealing with in relation to your sexual nature or in relation to the other's sexual nature. You may become aware of these so that they can be cleared and that you can build a new foundation. Because sex is a totally natural energy, that it's because of sex that we exist. And it has received a lot of negative interpretations from organized religions, from various social structures, that Capricorn would rule. That Capricorn would be the sign where social duty, social rules and regulations, morality, those would all come under the sign of Capricorn. So if Capricorn is in your 8th house, you may be undergoing a very deep process of seeing how much programming you have taken on in regards to your sexual life, and also in regards to death, the subject of death, and what your interpretation of death is. Is it based on religious organizations' interpretation of death? Is it based on your family's ideas about death? Have you done your own deep research into this subject? Have you tuned into your own soul's connection on this level? And this is going to give you an opportunity, this Pluto transit, to have your own experience of these very fundamental energies that are part of life, that are life itself, and that if you have fear or issues around these subjects, you'll have the opportunity to bring more love into these places in yourself, because fear is the absence of love. And rather than focusing on fear, focusing on an absence, which there's nothing you can do if there's an absence, all you can do is look at what's missing. And what's missing when you have a lot of fear is love and trust in life and intimacy and trust in others. So there may be a deep healing going on in this area for you if you have Capricorn in the 8th house. And it's really important, if you're building a new foundation in this area, that it begins with your connection to yourself and your connection to life itself. That you can bring in more love for who you are, for your individual, totally unique expression of who you are. To bring in more love for your depth and sensitivity, and for your compassion and ability to tune in a very intuitive way to other people. It can also help you to have more clarity when this new foundation is being built, in knowing what's you and what's someone else emotionally on a feeling level. Being more aware that at times you may be feeling things that have nothing to do with you, that may have to do with somebody else, or a client, or a family member, or a partner. So being aware that not everything that you feel and experience is coming from you, and being able to tell the difference. So Pluto is going to bring in a lot of transformation through the 8th house to your intimacy with yourself, with life, and with others, and also your connection with your sexual nature and with the nature of death, and that there may be many traditions out there that believe that when the body dies, that's the end of who we are. There are also many traditions out there who say that we continue, that our soul is eternal, that our essential nature is not separate from the one, that we are at one with life, and that when the body dies, our journey continues and never ends. Who knows? But for you, you can do your own exploration into this subject and find your own sense and relationship to these different themes that Pluto is bringing in. If Capricorn is in your 9th house, this is going to be a time of exploring what the truth is for you. Capricorn in the 9th house, 9th house is ruled by Jupiter. It's the house of Sagittarius, and it has to do with our willingness to look at the belief systems that we've taken on, especially in relationship to our spiritual connection, and being able to look and see what is borrowed knowledge, what has been given to us by others, by religious beliefs, by family beliefs, by traditions in society, by our culture, by our schools and educational systems, to be able to look and see what is borrowed knowledge, what is not direct experience, knowledge that is not our own experience, and to be really honest and truthful with ourselves about what is our direct experience and our own unique individual truth. And it takes a lot of courage to look at these subjects and to be honest with oneself about information and knowledge that we're carrying that really is just based on belief and not based on direct experience. But it's also very exciting, and that's part of the spiritual journey, is to go on our own exploration of what that is for us. What our unique perception of the truth is based on our own experience in life and our own experience with the world and with society. And the ninth house also rules other cultures. It rules long distance travel and exploring different parts of the world where people have completely different traditions from what we may be raised in. So you could also find during Pluto transiting the ninth house in Capricorn that there's a new foundation coming in your relationship with the world, and maybe a new curiosity to travel and explore and experience other cultures. It's a really great way to step out of your own culture, step out of what is totally familiar and almost automatic. When you step into another culture, it creates a contrast, and you can really see your own culture from a perspective that I don't think you can get easily in any other way. You almost have to remove yourself from it and have some distance. And I think that's why many people love traveling so much. Because as you leave what's familiar, your own culture, and you enter into another one, your response changes because you're facing the unknown, you're facing something that's not familiar, and you can more easily have a spontaneous response, and aspects of yourself that you may not have been aware of can show up and express themselves. It can be a very self-illuminating experience and liberating experience to step out of what's familiar and to go on an adventure. So if Capricorn is in your ninth house, this may be something that comes in, and it may come in slowly, but it will transform your belief systems and also your spiritual connection, and expand your consciousness and expand your awareness into areas that you have direct experience of that are new and different. If Capricorn is in your 10th house, then you're having this transit in the house that Capricorn rules. And so the transformation and the new foundation that you're laying at the moment will have a lot to do with your work, your career, and your place in the world, and how you share yourself with society, with others. What you provide that is of service to others, that you get paid for, that you are valued for. And this is going to bring in a new level of maturity, a new level of professionalism into your work life, where you feel that you're able to use more of who you are in your work. And you may finally have a feeling that this transformation, this new foundation that you're laying has been a long time coming, and that it's starting finally to manifest, that you can see on the horizon that the changes are taking place. So professionally, this will make a big impact in your work life. The polarity point of the 10th house, the fourth house of Cancer will also be activated by this transit, where it's transiting through Capricorn in your 10th house, your 4th house of your family and home will also be affected by this. And so you may see changes related to your professional life, your work life, and also connected with your home life and your family life. So for this transit, it's really great to be totally honest with yourself about where you'd like to see your professional life move and what you actually have excitement and enthusiasm for in your work life and also in your home life. What are your needs, your current needs? And to give attention to that and to know that Pluto and Capricorn both move very gradually, one step at a time. So not to get overwhelmed by the process, but just to take it one moment at a time, one step at a time. And you'll start to see gradual, slow transformation and the structure rebuilding through this Pluto process of ending how you have been working in the world and how you have been making a living and beginning something new or integrating what you've been doing into something new, but a new birth in terms of your work and how you make a living in the world. And you may decide to start working from home if you haven't been working from home. And you may set it up exactly the way it needs to be so that you can do your work in the way that you really want to do your work, where you have it organized and stable and structured so you can feel very grounded in this new work relationship that you're creating for yourself. But all in all, a very powerful location to have Capricorn, since he's at home in this house and rules this house. Saturn rules this house. So definitely a time to allow yourself to explore all of these subjects that the 10th house rules, and to give yourself the time and be patient with the process. If Capricorn is in your 11th house, then this Pluto transit will be affecting your relationship with the world in general, with society in general, with the people in your life, acquaintances, friends, family members, but more specifically, acquaintances and friends, neighbors, everyone that's in your environment, basically, that you're connected with, that you relate to. And it's going to transform your vision of the world in some way. It's going to bring in a new vision, a new foundation in how you see the world and also how you see your place in the world. And it may bring people and connections into your world that assist you in doing this, that assist you in this process of sort of bringing your talents, your individuality into the world. And you could have very deep insights, very sudden and deep insights. The 11th house is ruled by Uranus, and Uranus is currently in Taurus, restructuring, helping us to create a new relationship with our physical reality. So with Capricorn in the 11th house and Pluto transiting there, you may see new structures in the world that you're involved with, new visions that actually create physical structures in the world, physical systems that benefit people, instead of the old systems that are just serving, the greedy politicians and their never-ending hollow promises. And you may get involved in sharing your unique vision and helping to bring in a new value system into the general world, into the social system that actually cares about people, that brings in true vision for peace and love in the world, not just words, not just an ideology, but actual, with Capricorn, it's actual work, step by step investment that brings the results and that builds the new foundation. So a very interesting place to have Capricorn. I feel these two energies go together very well, actually, where you can use the grounded energy of Capricorn in your 11th house and use that to bring your unique and very individual contribution into the world. If you have Capricorn in the 12th house and Pluto transiting the 12th house, this new foundation will be happening more in the invisible realms of your experience. You may find this is a good time to really do some deep looking at anything that has been repressed within you psychologically, any belief systems that are keeping you from really feeling connected to life, feeling compassion for yourself. This is a very deep place. The 12th house is ruled by Pisces and Neptune, and Neptune is currently in Pisces and will be meeting up with Saturn in the middle of February next year. So with Pluto in your 12th house, with Capricorn as your 12th house, you're going to have a lot of support to break down old psychological structures. If you've had any issues with addiction or extreme attitudes about rules and regulations, any habits related to escaping from reality or feeling that you can't handle reality, Capricorn's going to give you some very constructive, grounded, slow-moving energy so that you can unravel any of these deep unconscious patterns that may be running behind the scenes and see what's actually going on. And just the power of awareness for you in this transit could make all the difference to the transformation that's possible for you. The power of awareness to just being willing to see what's present in any given moment, and the compassion of the 12th house to be able to also see others for where they're at in this moment, and to know that we're all connected, that we're all part of one energy. And this is something that the 12th house knows very well. But when we're dealing with deep psychological repression, which can be in the 12th house, which rules, mental institutions and, addiction therapy, but not just on that level, it also rules deep-seated neurosis that is not ours, that we have cultivated because of our belief systems and because of what other people have told us, because of what society has told us and judgments that we have internalized. So with Pluto here, you have an opportunity to free yourself from a lot of psychological baggage and to really let the past be the past. But most importantly, to build a new foundation of compassion in yourself. Compassion for yourself first and foremost, and also for others. And that you're allowed to have boundaries. You're allowed to be an individual. That this is how we were created. We're all unique. We all have unique needs. And that in the 12th house, it can be challenging to have boundaries, to know where you end and where the other begins, where the world begins. So you can bring in more stability and a new foundation in this area for yourself that will give you more relaxation and more love for who you are, and more ability to share that with other people, and to have the positive benefit of the freedom of not having to deal with repressed energy coming up, patterns going round and round in circumstances, the same thing over, breaking these patterns. Very powerful time to do this, with Pluto transiting the 12th house and Capricorn being in the 12th house. So I hope that this has been informative and that you feel you have a deeper insight into the process of Pluto and how beneficial it can be in transforming our lives in ways that we wish to transform. And if you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear them down below in the comment section. And like I said at the beginning of this video, you can go down below in the description area. You'll find the chart calculator, and you can see also where the opposite house to Pluto is, and maybe do some research into and listen to what's happening in that house also. So for example, if Capricorn is in your first house, you could also listen to Capricorn in your 7th house, which is the opposite house to that. And that will also give you some insight into your process as well, because these are all polarity points. These houses all have a polarity point. So that can be also another way to get more information. But thanks for joining me, and I look forward to bringing you the next Pluto transmission in 2026. Lots and lots of good love, good vibrations, good energy to whoever's listening to this right now.